Hello, 330 instructors, and welcome to the challenge exam training. This is for the revised edition of the challenge exam speaking and writing prompts. We are going to share the screen of several different documents that have been created for the new challenge exam to give you an overview. The goal and objective of the students and expectation for them is to be at the intermediate level. So to read this paragraph, it says the goal is to be at the intermediate level. Students are expected to handle routine tasks and social situations. They can do uncomplicated tasks and social situations requiring an exchange of basic information related to their family, work, school, and recreation. They can create with the language spontaneously in sentences. An intermediate level speaker is able to speak at the sentence level. The sentences that this type of speaker generates allow her or him to express ideas and engage with other speakers of the language socially. Intermediate level speakers can tell people what they want to order at a restaurant, what they regularly do at work, what they need to do to arrange to rent a car, etc. They can tell people what they are thinking, and they can formulate questions to find out information. On the other hand, an intermediate speaker is not able to organize and connect those sentences to form paragraphs, nor is this type of speaker able to control the language well enough for a listener to be able to understand whether an action or event happened in the past, present, or future. In other words, we are not expecting them to narrate in the past, present, and future because that is an advanced task. Some possible topics that could occur on the challenge exam include accidents, animals, clothing, fashion, and shopping, description, including physical and personality, giving directions, family members, food, drink, and restaurants, habits, health and medical terms, house and furniture vocabulary, instruments, nationalities, countries, occupations, careers, pastimes, leisure activities, places, buildings and city map, school and university life, sports, transportation, travel, vacations, typical day and daily routines, and weekend activities. And probably the questions are going to come from those topics. Some sample questions include a simple description of a person, place, or thing. So an example would be, describe your best friend. What does he or she look like? Describe his or her personality. Or a simple description of an activity or event. Or asking questions to get something that you want or need, or something about your home, furniture, or apartment, and maybe something about your daily routine or a typical day that you have. And those are an overview and will give you a good base for preparing for the challenge exam. So to start, the new speaking test has 10 prompts or questions, and each prompt is written in English, but the student will respond in the target language. And they say to complete each prompt in order, to not go back. Each prompt has a time limit written between 30 seconds and a minute and a half. And then you don't need to fill up the entire time for each prompt. However, if the timer runs out, stop speaking and continue to the next prompt. So prompt number 1 is a warm-up. It's there for a novice speaker to be able to list the things that they say, such as, I see a guitar, a ukulele, a campfire, a lake, etc. This will not be scored by the instructor. It's just there to get the students to be able to speak and create with the language from not memorization, but from be able to see and recognize words that they know. Prompt number 2 is the very first one for points. And it's a minute long, and it says you want to rent an apartment, talk to the building manager and describe what you want, ask 4 or 5 questions to find out everything you need to know. All of these questions could be used as practice in the classroom with your students, since these are not the real questions or the ones that would be used this semester, but they are going to be closely aligned with the proficiency, the intermediate proficiency of the test. Prompt number 3 is a role play. You stop by your friend's home and realize your friend is sick. Ask your friend questions about his or her symptoms. 1 minute again. Prompt number 4 is also a minute. You are left alone in a room with a friend's grandparent. Make polite conversation with him or her while you wait for your friend. Prompt number 5 is 1 minute. You are a server in a restaurant. Your boss has instructions that for every special you sell, you will receive a bonus. An American customer walks into the restaurant. You walk up to the customer and talk about the specials. Prompt number 6 is 1 minute role play. You want to make a favorite dish, but you do not remember the instructions or the ingredients needed. Call someone who can help and ask questions about the dish. Prompt number 7 is a minute. Describe your home or apartment, including the rooms and furniture. Prompt number 8 is 1 minute. You are lost not far from the train station in a small town. You are supposed to meet your friend at the hotel at 4 p.m. You see a policeman. Go and ask directions to your hotel. Prompt number 9 is a minute and a half. You borrowed a friend's car and had a slight accident. Call your friend and explain what happened and offer a solution. And prompt number 10 is a minute and a half. Think about an upcoming day or event that you will be celebrating and about the food that is involved in the celebration. What kind of dishes will you make or consume that day? Include as much detail as you can about what you plan to make or eat. Now, when they have recorded these, you as an instructor will be sent individual files with the audio files to grade, to listen to, and then to grade according to the rubric. What we are asking you to do is to judge them not according to an advanced speaking level like your class is, but to judge them on an intermediate speaking level, speaking in sentences, but not being able to narrate in all time frames, not be able to talk in paragraph form. And so the rubric is all based off of meeting expectations at the intermediate level. And so if you notice the rubric, there are 4 different categories that all follow the OPI, the ACTFL OPI grading proficiency rubric. And so there is the first one called text type and function. The second one is content and context. The third is accuracy. And then the fourth one is the quality of response. So let's read in the grade area that meets expectations at the intermediate level, what each one of those means. So the text type and function is to create with a language using sentences and strings of sentences. The content and context is to be well understood by a native speaker who are used to speaking and writing of the language learners. Accuracy includes grammar generally accurate with present tense, but may have errors in other tenses and structures. Errors generally don't interfere with meaning. And the quality of responses mostly appropriate and thorough responses, good range of vocabulary. Now, if they are meeting their expectation in each one of these categories, you would give the student a 2 in each one for a total of 8 points. But if they get up into the advanced mode in exceeding the expectation, you could give them a 3 if they're narrating in paragraph form, able to describe more in detail, and have generally accurate in all major timeframes. You may give them a 3. If they drop down and it's just memorized formulaic words and phrases, somewhat understood, there's some errors, more errors in grammar, then you may give them a 1. So if you look at the speaking rubric, you're going to give them a 1, 2, or 3 and the text type and function, same thing in content or context, same thing in accuracy, and the quality of response for a total of 8 points. That doesn't mean that they can't receive more points though, because if they scored in a 3 on some of them, maybe all of them, they could get a score of all the way up to 12 points on that particular question, or all the way down to 4. But the range is going to be between 4 and 12, even if they give some kind of response, then you would still give them a 1 if they didn't complete it or it didn't meet the expectation for that. So now let's go on to the writing prompts. And in this one, there will be a total of 4 prompts. And again, the first one will be a listing, a novice one where they will not be graded. It will be a warm-up again. So they would write down things such as, I can see a computer, a monitor, or a TV screen. I can see some glasses, a camera, etc. But that one is just for them to get warmed up. The one that they're scored the first time on is prompt number 2 for 5 minutes. You are beginning a class this semester with the expectation of the syllabus, schedule, assignments, and tests are unclear to you. Write an email to the professor and ask 4 to 5 questions to find out more information about the class. It would be good to practice this in class so that they have 5 minutes to write an email. And then you can go over and ask questions, and they can, if they have questions about how to write something, you can review those with them in class. The same thing goes for writing prompt number 3, another 5 minute. It's similar. They're writing a letter to a friend, just telling their friend what they're doing in school and work. Tell them about your fun plans for the summer and describe what you'd like to do with them the next time you visit. And then writing prompt number 4 is 15 minutes, more in detail, a little bit more as far as longer. And so this question says, culture shock refers to the emotional and psychological reactions to the unfamiliar culture and environment. It is common to have culture shock when arriving in a new country or area. Talk about some of the new things that you encountered for the first time. Give as much detail as possible, including the language, the weather, social norms, food, and how you viewed them. Talk about your attitude towards them and how you coped with them. Did you feel any homesickness or isolation? And this would be good because it's going to be a longer, in-depth written response to that prompt about homesickness and emotional and psychological adjustments, getting used to a brand new country. And that would be one that would be a typical 15-minute response. Now, if you go back to the rubric, again, they would be still writing in sentences. It wouldn't be paragraph, perfect paragraph form expectation. There would probably be some errors in accuracy for grammar, but you'd be able to understand them, and you're going to have to be the judge for an intermediate proficiency level, or could possibly go up or down on a written response. The difference between the speaking and writing prompts, though, is since there are only 3 of them, and they both equal 72 points, the writing response, each one of those questions will be worth 24. And so when you give them their scores of 1, 2, or 3 on each one of these, if they got full credit at 8 points, you'll times those out by 3, and that would be meaning that they would have 8 points times 3, or a total of 24, meaning they could receive 24 points, 24 points, 24, and the expectation, hopefully, for them is to get at 72 points. But if they do better and they can write in paragraph type form and almost like where there are no errors, then you could go to give them a 3 for those responses. And that way it would be extra credit for their scores toward their total amount of scores. The score sheet that you will receive looks like this. And so you'll have oral prompt 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And each one of these, again, the expectation is to get 2s or a total of 8. And so if they get 8 points for each one of those at the 9 prompts, they'd end up with 72. Can they receive more? Yeah, they could receive all the way up to 108 points on the speaking part if they happen to get 3s on each one of those oral prompts. But that's why you are going to need to listen to those and then give them a grade for each one. In addition to that, the writing prompts, as you can see, are the same exact category 3, 2, 1 with function, content, context, accuracy, and quality response. So they would be over 8 points, but then you will times those out, and that would be a possible 24 times the 3. Again, it would be 72. But the writing responses, if they were to happen to get 3 on every one of those, they could also go all the way up to 108 points. So those are the ways that you score them. And when you get the grading score sheet, the Excel sheet, it could look like this. So it says listening, grammar, and reading questions are 150 points. In other words, the computer will automatically grade their listening, grammar, and reading parts from the multiple choice section. And so those will be automatically populated and scored for the student. You won't really need to have to worry about that. And in each one of those categories, listening 1 through 25, grammar 1 through 25, reading 1 to 15, listening 26 to 50, grammar 26 to 50, reading 26 to 50, then those should already be done. This one right here is reading 1 through 15, should actually say 1 through 25. That's a typo. Anyway, those are going to be over 150 points. So that section's worth 150. And then the speaking and the writing portions are going to be worth 144. So the total amount will be coming to 294. And their grades, their 4 grades, will be based off of the total score, not individual scores in each level. So we'll show that here in just a minute. That John Doe, that is an example, he received a 23, a 24, a 22, a 20, a 22, and a 23 on the multiple choice computerized test. And then on speaking, he got an 8, 8, 7, 9, 10, 7, 8, 9, 6 on the speaking parts. On the writing, he received a 23, 24, and 21 for a total of 274, which is an A for all 4 levels. In other words, on 101, he got an A, 102, he got an A, 201, he got an A, and 202, he received an A. How do you know what their grade is? Well, you go to the breakdown. And so if they can get a minimum score total of 273 or above, then they would be A's in all 4 levels. If they were between 265, in other words, between 90 and 93%, or really 92.9, then they would be at an A minus for 202, but A's on the other 3. If they're in the B plus range on 202, then it would be A minuses for the 201, and then an A on 101. But at no time will they be able to receive a better score for their 202 and 201 than their 101 and 102. In other words, this is set up so that if they get an A on 101, then they would automatically, that score of the 101 would automatically be higher than or equal to than their 202 score. And that was one of the downfalls of the previous challenge exam, where many of the students received a higher score on a 202 level, like they got an A on 202, but then they get a B on 101. And then we receive all kinds of emails about people saying I'm a better student than the 101 grade indicated for me. And so that was the rationale and the reasoning why we even decided to change. That was a major reason to change this so it's more fair to the student to receive a 101 and a 102 level grade that's at least as equal to 202 and not have it to where there's some disproportionate grading going on. But anyway, you can see all the way going down to where the 77 is in like a C place range. This is actually following the BYU grading scale. And so they can, some people have asked, what about if they got extra credit? They can receive extra, and they could go all the way up to in the 300s if they received a lot of 3s instead of 2s on the individual categories for the grading level that we have. So that is the reasoning behind it. The rationale is to make it more proficiency-based, intermediate proficiency, and we don't have any novice questions except those warm-up questions that will not be graded. And so everything else will be at the intermediate level, proficiency-wise, expectation-wise, and grading-wise. And if you have any questions about the grading or the rubric or how to score that, please let me know. We are going to send out some extra helps for writing and also speaking. And this is one of those where you could give out that would be a practice for the 15-minute writing prompt. Like you could have them write a formal letter. That you can have them talk about my BYU semester, something lost, my weekend, describe something, elementary school, childhood part 1 and 2, predicting their future, president of the United States. These two are definitely at an advanced level. And so those two you may want to just do for your 330 class for practice in your class and not necessarily for the challenge exam. The this first one though, first page is more at the intermediate level, and the second page is more at the level of where the challenge exam would be, the intermediate level. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. If you have any questions, please contact me and we'll get together or answer questions on email. And I do appreciate you joining us with us. And we will be talking to you later on. And thank you again. We'll talk to you later.